Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. First of all, you may have noticed the lack of a Saturday chit-chat video yesterday. I recorded it last weekend. I edited it. I thought I uploaded it to YouTube and scheduled it to drop yesterday morning at 8 o'clock. So around about 8:30, I checked my phone. It hadn't uploaded. I checked every half hour after that and it still wasn't anywhere to be seen. As soon as I got home, I checked on the PC and I couldn't find any sign of it. I have no idea what I've done. I could swear I uploaded it to YouTube and scheduled it last week, but something obviously went wrong. I have no idea what. It took me ages to actually find the original file. And by the time I'd actually found it, it was hardly worth uploading it, so I thought I'll save it for next week. There was no mention of dates or anything like that on there, so it'll sit there nice and quiet until next weekend. I'm just re-editing it now behind me. So what I'll do is, as soon as I've uploaded this one to YouTube and also onto Facebook, I'll properly make sure that that one is scheduled to drop next Saturday, December the 3rd, at around 8 o'clock, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it'll work this time. So sincere apologies for that. What else? I've got notes everywhere here, and I'm determined to do this in one take. If I'm going to do this live thing in a few weeks, which will not, by the way, be 3 hours or anything stupid like that. If I can do an hour, I'll be doing well, really well. But I'm aiming for about 30 minutes, something like that. I need to get used to just doing these things in one take. So as I say, I've got notes everywhere here, so just bear with me. Shout outs very quickly to new subscribers. I've actually got 3 or 4 new subscribers that I didn't realise were there. What it was, a guy come up to me at work last week and said that he'd watched one of my videos. A guy by the name of Vladimir. Vladimir, if you're watching, good morning, mate. He works at our place, and he said, I watched one of your videos last week and I fall asleep before it finished, and when I woke up you were still talking to me. So I assume that's a kind of a compliment, I don't know. But he was looking forward to seeing yesterday's video because he came into the canteen about sort of 6:30 and says, well, when's he going? When's he going? I said about 8 o'clock, so he probably missed that. But yeah, so by the sounds of it, if you're looking for some kind of a sedative or a tranquilizer, just stick one of my videos on and that should do the trick for you. But thanks for that, Vladimir. It's great to see that you're enjoying the content while you're awake. So, and these are the new subscribers. I'll just run through them very quickly now. Guys, I've not checked out any of your channels yet because I only found these a couple of days ago, but I will be checking your channels out. One is called Video Tasties. There's Geek Pulse Horror. There's Ian Hill, The Ramblings. I was actually going to call my channel The Ramblings when I was trying to think of a title about a year and a half ago, something like that. And somebody said you want to call it Tony's Ramblings or something like that. But I decided against it in the end. So Ian Hill, The Ramblings. I've watched a couple of your videos, mate, and really enjoyed them. And Alexi Gamma. Sounds like a DJ. But I assume he's a movie reviewer, kind of like me. So, welcome to the channel, you lot. Hope you like what we're doing here and the content and all that sort of thing. And I will be checking your channels out very shortly. So that's all the new subscribers done. The biggest shout out this week goes to a guy that I used to work with. He retired probably a couple of years ago. Time flies so fast nowadays, I can't keep track. Dave Taylor. Morning, Dave. I loved working with Dave. He was on the hygiene team with me. We used to wander about the warehouse picking sort of cardboard and litter up and sweeping the floors and this, that and the other. Really enjoyed his company. I do miss working with you, mate. And you made you sent me a few long messages last week to do with a couple of the posts that were on the Facebook group. So I thought I'd address them sort of here. You were talking about fast-paced action or war scenes. I think I'm the same as you. They sort of fly by so quick, and there are so many really speedy, quick jump cuts that they give you a headache if you watch them for too long. I do kind of get what you're saying, that you can't process them anymore as fast as that. You have to take a break from them. I do kind of get that. I've seen a couple like that just recently. Um, but yeah, I do agree with you on that one. You also mentioned Mr. Jakeman's Film Club. Now, when we were at school, there was a film club that used to run. I don't know what day it was, or I presume it was after school. I never actually attended this. I wasn't heavily into movies back then. But Dave, you certainly went to quite a few of them. They showed, let's see, The Ghost Train, the Arthur Askey movie, which I watched yesterday and thoroughly enjoyed for about the 500th time. Just classic old British Ealing style comedy with Arthur Askey. The Eiger Sanction apparently was screened on that. That's a Clint Eastwood movie. The Great Gatsby. The years on those, by the way, you were not certain, so I checked it out. The Eiger Sanction was 1975, and The Great Gatsby was 1974. And you also mentioned the gambling movie with Redford and Newman. That was The Sting, 1973. What a film! Probably the best scam movie ever. Absolutely brilliant. They did a sequel to it, which I don't believe it starred Redford and Newman. It wasn't bad, but it was nothing like the 1973 original, not even close. And apparently, you say they screened The Exorcist. What the fuck? Why on earth would a school screen a movie like The Exorcist? But apparently it happened. You had to be in the fifth form to watch it. You also had to have a permission slip signed by a parent that you were to basically say that you were allowed to watch it. Oh God, my God! I'm not sure I'd have actually gone to that one if I'd have known it was on, because the Exorcist had one hell of a reputation back then. You must be going back to sort of 1974, 1975. The film was released in 73. So by the time it screened at Jakeman's Film Club, it had gained one hell of a reputation throughout the world. So if I'd have known about that, chances are I would have avoided that one. I'm not sure my nerves could have stood up to that one. My first horror movie was, as I've said before, a movie called The Night Caller. You wouldn't even class it as horror nowadays. It's screened on afternoons on channels like Talking Pictures TV. You could quite happily screen that pretty much on children's TV, and I don't think anybody would even notice. But it was pretty frightening stuff back then. And it was part of a thread that was running on ITV called Appointment with Fear. And I was allowed to stay up and watch this. I think it was on about 10:30. It was after the news at 10. And it did scare me at the time. I'd have been probably about 8 or 9 at the time. So it's hardly surprising. But The Exorcist, to watch that at age 15, holy crap. Wow. So no, I didn't hear about that one, mate, but I would definitely have avoided that. You were also kind enough to send me your top 10 movies with a handful of honourable mentions. Now, I'll be recording that video next weekend, and it will be uploaded onto YouTube on the 10th of December. That'll be the Saturday. So I'll tag you in it when it goes up. Let's see. You also remember queuing to see ABBA the movie. My God, my memories of that. If I remember correctly, the queues for ABBA the movie were very, very similar to the queues for Star Wars when that opened, and they both were in the same year, 77. I do remember the queues coming out of the cinema, round the corner, right the way round the back of the building, and halfway down Station Street. It was unbelievable. You'd never seen anything like it. They'd never have got all those people into one screen. So the ones that were sort of halfway back would have had to wait until that screening had finished. This was when the Odeon had, well, did it have one screen or three back then? I can't remember. But even if it had had three, it would not have screened in two separate screens, or three even. But they could have done that for at least 3 or 4 days, and they'd have packed every single screen out quite easily. But yes, I do remember queuing for ABBA the movie very, very well. Um, and like you, I struggle to remember movies that I saw at the cinema after Robbins closed. Um, Obviously, I remember it being the Odeon to start with. Then it changed hands to Robbins. The layout and everything in there stayed the same. It was just bought up by a different chain. Um, but after Robbins closed, round about, I think it was the early 2000s, we went through maybe a year or two with absolutely no cinema at all. The nearest picture house was probably Derby, and they were just, I think they got one of the first multiplexes in the area. I'm not even sure whether it's still going now. I couldn't tell you what chain it belonged to. Um, but yeah, I struggle to remember movies that I saw after Robbins closed. Before, if I sat down for half an hour, I could reel off 50, maybe 100 movies that I saw between, say, 1973 and probably 19 sort of 84, 85, something like that. I was never out of the place, always in there. Sometimes twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. Um, and movies back then stood up to repeat viewings. So if there was nothing that I'd not already seen, I would go and see something that I'd enjoyed the first time round again, and sometimes a third time. Close Encounters being the prime example, which I saw I think 15 times in 3 weeks, something like that. But yes, I struggle with that as well. So yeah, that pretty much addresses all your points, Dave. I'm really glad that you're enjoying the channel. I know you're laid up at the moment because you suffer with your back. You suffered with your back quite a while ago, and it's been a problem ever since. So if I can sort of amuse you for 30 minutes a week or an hour or whatever, I'm pleased. So as I say, I miss working with you, mate, and I hope to see you at some point soon. So who else have I got shout outs for here? Let me just oh god, what's been happening on the group this week? The I haven't seen meme. Is it a meme or a poster? It was basically just me with the words I haven't seen underneath it. And my god, you lot jumped on that one, didn't you? You put one hell of a list of movies that you thought I hadn't seen. So I'll just run through these now and tell you whether it is likely that I'm going to watch them or not. Let's see. Bad Boys 1 to 3. Do I have to? Will Smith and all that kind of thing. It's not really my kind of thing, and it isn't. But I've heard they're very good, so it's a possibility I might watch something like that. That Thing You Do, that was Guy, I think. Yeah, I think that's a definite one. I watched the trailer to it. I'd heard of it, but I couldn't have told you what it was about. Written and directed by Tom Hanks, so that can't be all bad. So that's a definite yes. What else have I got here? The dog's drinking water behind me. Callie's only fan page. I'll probably give that one a miss. Not sure how that one got on there. Mark, I think you recommended Teen Wolf. Yeah, I'd watch Teen Wolf. That's pretty much a yes. Rocky, already on it. As you know, I've seen the first two. Thoroughly enjoyed them. I will be talking about them more in depth when I've watched the whole box set, which I think the box set I've got is 1 to 6, and includes Rocky Balboa. It doesn't include Creed. I'm going to have to invest in a copy of that one. But yeah, Rocky, I really enjoyed them. I didn't think I would because I thought they were sports movies, but they absolutely aren't sports movies. Well, they are, but there's more to them than that. So yeah, I will be carrying on with those. Dave Taylor again, you recommended Heartbreak Ridge. I've seen bits of it. Gunnery Sergeant Highway, Clint Eastwood. Yeah, a few quotable lines in that one. Green for Danger, Alistair Sim. Never heard of it, but I have looked it up and I will be grabbing a copy of that one for sure. Sounds like my kind of thing. Rick, old AF, you recommended John Rambo. I'm on it, and I've ordered it. This is the Rambo movie that I've been dreading watching. I loved First Blood, enjoyed Rambo First Blood Part 2, as daft as it was, and Part 3, which was even dafter. the one where he gets mixed up with a Mexican cartel who have kidnapped his niece. Seen that one. It was violent, but I made it through it. This is the one that I've been absolutely dreading, and the reviews I've read of it have basically said that the violence is absolutely horrendous. So I can't say I'm looking forward to it, but Rick, I am on it. Jason, oh my God, there's quite a list here. Taken 1 to 3, possibly. I don't know. I know the famous line from Liam Neeson because it's been quoted so many times. Um, I'm not really sure it's my kind of thing. Possibly. Mission Impossible. Yeah, I've watched those. I remember seeing the first one years and years ago. Um, I remember being quite confused by it actually. But I would watch it definitely, especially with the new one coming out next year. John Wick. No, I know they're popular movies and I know you lot bloody love them. It's just not my kind of thing. It just ain't. So it's very unlikely I will be watching John Wick 1 to 10 or whatever it's on now. The Equalizer 1 and 2. I didn't see the series. I've had a discussion with Guy on this one. I will be grabbing a box set at some point of the TV series because he swears it's absolutely brilliant. Great soundtrack to it, all that kind of thing. Would I watch the movies? Yeah, possibly. Yeah, Denzel Washington, can't really go wrong with a bit of Denzel. Um, Don't Breathe. Heard of it? Um, is this the one about the blind man and they break into his house to steal things and he turns the tables on them? Is it something like that? Yeah, I'd probably watch that. Last Night in Soho, absolutely, definitely, 100% yes. Um, haven't seen it, but it's Edgar Wright, and I've been listening to a lot of Edgar Wright on various podcasts over the last few weeks. I know he's the director of Shaun of the Dead, also I believe it's called the Ice Cream Trilogy or something like that, which is Hot Fuzz and World's End. What's the first one? Can't remember. But yeah, I'm really, really liking Edgar Wright's work at the moment, and I'm looking forward to sort of catching up with his back catalogue. But Last Night in Soho is supposed to be really, really good, so that's a definite yes. Red Dragon and Hannibal. Yeah, why not? I loved Silence of the Lambs. I never got round to watching the sequels. A bit of sequelophobia going off there. And Signs. I think we've talked about this one before. This is Mel Gibson, alien invasion. Uh, he lives out in the sticks, and the farmhouse that he's living in is attacked by forces from outer space. That kind of thing. It's supposed to be really, really good, and it's one that I've wanted to see for ages, but I keep putting it off. So I've added that to my watch list. So that's that list of movies that I've not seen. This watch list of mine is just horrendously long at the moment. Mark Bailey, you put a cracking post on about Tarantino. Apparently, he says there are only 7 perfect movies in the world. I'll read these out now and see how many of these you agree with. Number one's The Wild Bunch, which is an incredibly violent western from 1969. Sam Peckinpah. I've never seen it, but I do know it caused a lot of controversy when it first came out. Obviously, the late 60s and the early 70s, cinema was changing. They were pushing the boundaries. You got movies like Straw Dogs, Soldier Blue, Clockwork Orange, Last Tango in Paris, and also this one, The Wild Bunch. So yes, I would definitely watch that one. He also mentions The Exorcist. What can you say about The Exorcist that hasn't already been said? Apparently, it was shown in schools. So that was a new one on me. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, one of the finest examples of madness you will ever see on screen. It is just absolutely nuts. Again, this had one hell of a reputation when it first came out. I believe it was banned from a lot of cinemas in Britain, in the UK, only screened in local council cinemas. It had to be, all the screenings had to be approved by the local council, so a lot of the country never even got to see Texas Chainsaw Massacre unless you were sort of central London. But yeah, brilliant movie. Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks. Oh my God, what a film! I think this came after Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles was brilliant, but this was absolutely superb. Um, Jaws 1975, complete masterpiece. Steven Spielberg, starring Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss in a very early role. Um, a complete masterpiece. Annie Hall 1977. Now this doesn't get mentioned a lot as far as cracking movies goes. I like Woody Allen's films. I know he's had a lot of problems and controversies recently with certain things. Doesn't alter the fact he's a brilliant filmmaker. I love his 70s output. Hannah and Her Sisters was just superb. That was actually about 85, I think. I love Annie Hall. I love Manhattan. So yeah, I can definitely go along with that one. And Back to the Future. Of course, he was going to mention Back to the Future. It's pure 80s heaven, isn't it? So yeah, they are the seven movies that Quentin Tarantino considers to be perfect. So thanks for that postmark, Mark. I've not noticed any of those. Let me just turn these notes over to see if I've missed anything. That's that lot. We also had a movie. We had a couple of posts. 40 films from 40 years ago. How many have you seen? Out of 40, I got 29 on that one, which I didn't think was bad. Then we had 30 films from 30 years ago, and I got 19 on that one. There have been a couple more gone up, but I've forgotten to write them down. Typical of me. And Jason, you put on a post about your top 10 films of 2022. Now, we decided to do this earlier in the year, was to keep a list of movies that we watched in 2022. Now, I didn't realise I'd seen so many. I actually had to go on to the movie sites and just get a list of all the movies released this year, and I was surprised how many I'd actually seen. Your list was brilliant. I'll read mine out now, but this could change. These were just the 10 or 11 that I've actually seen this year. Number 10 was Men, that outrageous Alex Garland, I don't know whether you call it fantasy, it was really disturbing stuff. These aren't in any particular order, so I won't read them down in 9, 8, 7, 6 and all that. Next one's Mr. Harrigan's Phone. This was an adaptation of a Stephen King short story. I really enjoyed it. It didn't get cracking reviews, and a lot of people on the group didn't seem to like it, but I thought it was all right. Elvis is on there. Absolutely brilliant. I don't know how it compares to the 1979 Kurt Russell version of things. That's one I really do need to watch. That's also a 3-hour epic. But this one with Austin Butler and Tom Hanks was just superb. Prey, that was the Predator sequel, prequel, or whatever. I thought it was all right. Really, really good. Next one, Blonde. Disturbing as hell. This was an imagining of what Marilyn Monroe's life was. It's not a biopic based on her life. It is what the director thought had happened. As I say, disturbing as hell, but really, really well done. Halloween Ends didn't get very good reviews at all. A couple of people on the group hated it. A couple of people thought it was all right. I thought it was great. I really, really enjoyed it. As long as you go into it not expecting a traditional... So I'm keeping an eye on the dog. She's sitting here guarding me, I think. As long as you don't go into it expecting a traditional Halloween movie, which is all sort of screamy, stabby. It is that, but it's not. If you go into it expecting a 90-minute showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers, you're going to be sadly disappointed because it isn't that, but it's still good. I thought it was all right. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Netflix reimagining of it. Gory as hell, but it was really, really very much sort of cartoon violence. I think everybody remembers the sequence on the bus, but I thought it was okay. Scream was another one. I thought that was okay. Not as good as the original, but it was okay for a reboot. The Batman, thoroughly enjoyed it. 3 hours long. It was a long ass film, but I really, really enjoyed it. It's one of those movies that I would like to get on 4K now that I've got the setup and have a look at it on there. But yeah, I thought it was excellent. Fall, the one about the two thrill seekers climbing up the radio tower and getting stuck up there. Really good. Not one to watch if you suffer from vertigo or anything like that, though. And my final one on this list is Good Luck to You, Leo Graham. This is the Emma Thompson film where she plays a woman of a certain age who hires a sex worker. Probably the less you know about that one, the better, actually. But it's a really, really good film. It's mostly set in one room. I thought it was excellent. Two biggest disappointments of this year, Dashcam. Oh, what an enormous pile of horse plot that was. I was really looking forward to this because I love found footage films. This was just awful, really, really bad. And the other disappointment for me was Jordan Peele's Nope. Really, really looking forward to this, and it just wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be another sort of Close Encounters type movie with a lot more suspense and stuff like this, but it was just to me it was just a confusing mess. I didn't get it. So they're my two biggest disappointments. This list could very well change by the end of the year, so we'll come back to that one. What else have I got here? Oh, blimey. I've been hotly debated on Calico Productions. Morning, Callie and Guy. Apparently, let me get this right, there's a new drinking game. And every time I say without a doubt, and I have no idea how many times I've said it today, every time I say without a doubt or say that I've not seen anything, you have to have a drink. There's going to be a lot of pissed up people playing that one. Oh God! If you want to know any more about that, just take a look at the videos of Miss Violent Underpants and some savage fly, some random fly. Sorry, Miss Violet Impulse. I do apologise. Sorry, that was a weak attempt at trying to be funny, and it didn't work. On a more serious note, I have watched a couple of your videos. I caught up with the Halloween one, which I thoroughly enjoyed, and I listened to the Hellraiser episode yesterday and really enjoyed that interview that you did with those two people in America. I thought that was excellent. So yeah, I'm catching up with you. I'm not sure about the Angel and the Buffy one because I've never seen either, but I will listen to them anyway. What else have I got here? I was gonna very, very quickly show you. I did put a post on about Laurel and Hardy, and you said that you got a box set. This is the one that I've got. This is the lid for it. Now you've probably got the same one. Just show you what's actually in it because I've got the box here. Just lean over. Just look at this. This is a really nice box set. I have seen most of these. Laurel and Hardy is something that I turn to if I'm having a particularly shit day. I can usually rely on Laurel and Hardy just to crack me up and just make me laugh. These movies are getting close to 100 years old and they are still as funny and fresh as the day they came out, and I would have loved to have been a member of the audience watching these in a cinema in the 30s. It must have been absolutely amazing. So yeah, that's my Laurel and Hardy box set. I know there are a lot of others out there, but that pretty much contains everything that I would have wanted to watch. So right, that's it for this week. I want to get this uploaded while I've actually got it all fresh in my mind. Thanks ever so much for joining me. I'll be back next Saturday with a bit of luck. Saturday morning about 8 o'clock it should drop, and I'm going to make sure it's done right this time. God knows what happened last week, but it just didn't happen. So as I say, thanks ever so much for joining me, folks. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. If you've enjoyed the video, just give us a thumbs up and also subscribe. That would be absolutely amazing. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will talk to you all again next Saturday. Thanks again. Take care. Ta-da.